Shodan explained where the annelids came from and how they wound up on Tau Ceti, and we learned how the leadership began prepping the ship for them to grow. But this chapter kind of fills in the gaps between those two events. There was a crater surrounded by hundreds of eggs, which were already showing a telepathic influence. For some reason, the person whose audio file you discovered, Bayliss, is immune. Could this be a sign that some have a natural immunity to it, such as the player character? Bayliss also speaks of a data wafer that he discovers and delivers to Polito. Speaking of Polito, she has one last audio file of her own that pieces together Shodan's own path. Earlier we learned that she detected some kind of signal that eventually showed signs of intelligence. With the assumption that the annelids were alien, it was at first implied that this was an artificial alien intelligence, possibly their means that they used to compromise Xerxes and take over the ship. Of course, that was actually Shodan. In fact, it was in the data wafer that Bayliss found. Polito took her own life when she realized what she had done, releasing Shodan and allowing it to get up to whatever mischief it liked. One of, if not the first things, was to assume Polito's identity and use that to order the player's transformation into a cyborg to serve her own purposes. I have what I'll admit is a rather implausible theory that I thought I'd share, though. Bayliss has three connections to the player. First, Bayliss is the one who trains the player at the beginning of the game, along all three potential paths, which the player can easily select from throughout the game, despite whichever path they choose to start with. Second, Bayliss, like the player, can't be controlled by the Many's telepathy. Third, Bayliss was involved in handling the memory files of the player, including the deletion of the recent memory files. Bayliss is tied to Shodan in that he was the one who found her originally, allowing her to awaken from her sleep, and also frequently spoke to her, believing that she was Polito. Yours is not the only pod in that room where you first awaken. There are only two ways into that room. One by an elevator, which is inexplicably destroyed before the accident takes place. The other is a door which requires a keycard and thus can be permanently locked with the right access. Your memories are restored after being placed in computer storage, not from your own mind. There's a fandom list for where everyone dies, placing Bayliss in the chapel. But since the characters, with only one exception, all share models, there's no way to be absolutely certain that that's the case. So, what if you are actually Bayliss? Identified early on by Shodan as both immune to the telepathic influence and experienced in a variety of combat forms. And having interacted with him through Polito, Shodan decides that he would be useful and worthy as her avatar. So she decides to turn him into her cyborg. But to avoid him getting any rebellious thoughts, she doesn't just purge his recent history, she takes the memory file of some nobody soldier that Bayliss himself helped to train and put those memories into Bayliss rather than his own memories. She then just has the inconvenient soldier dumped, ensuring that no one else can get in to discover Bayliss, and uses the now more malleable Bayliss as her soldier in this war with the many. Again, I know it's a stretch, but it does help tie all those little connections together, doesn't it? Next time, we head into the grossest level of all, the body of the many.